So for J1 visas, J1 visas are a lot different than the F1. And I know like you're like, okay, all these different letters, how do I keep up? Just take notes and follow along. But with the J1 visa, this is a lot different. This one tends to lend itself more to students who are here for shorter stays, but still doing academics. So this is going to be for students who are doing exchange specific. It is a exchange visitor visa. So with exchange programs, I'm going to link a video above or whatever site it's on. I never remember where I talk about exchange programs specifically, but with exchange programs, this is basically, it's usually an equal exchange in some ways, where you are coming here for a short period of time. You are actively coming from a different college or university or secondary school, and you are coming to exchange into another school here in the US to, expand your studies, learn more, meet more people and everything, but you are planning to go back. So what this may look like, and it tends to take a lot of different turns because for some people, it kind of is a mix. Some people come here to exchange for work, and in turn, they get to make money and they're here for a little while. And some people are here for internships, some people are here for different things. So you may be an au pair, you may be an intern who's coming here for maybe 6 months to do an internship. You could be here for a shorter term program as well at a college or university in the US, but you are definitely just here for a shorter period of time. So with the J1 visa, this is another visa that you've likely seen if you've been going through and doing your research. Now, this visa is focused on exchange visitors only. And part of the reason for that and that it looks different than the F1 is because you are not here for the long haul. So you're not here for a long-term program. You're doing exactly what it says. You're doing an exchange. Now, I'm going to link a video above where I talk about exchange programs so that you can understand a little bit more about those. But essentially, that is much more of an equal swap. So schools here in the US pair with schools all around the world all the time. And it's a great way for students to be able to exchange and take time to learn more about the other culture, experience the other culture up close. You get to come and enter the classrooms and be there and learn from different people within that culture. And then you get to go back home and you take some of that. So one of the things that is different about the J1 versus the F1 is that with the J1, the schools, or even if you're coming here as an au pair or if you're coming here as a government visitor, it doesn't really matter. It's a lot different than the F1 in the sense that you're not just studying. You can be coming here for some type of work, but you're coming for a short period of time. Is that any type of entity that you are interacting with as an exchange is your sponsor. So this is a sponsorship-based visa. And this particular visa looks at different skills, it looks at different abilities and different things that are going to be happening compared to the F1 where it's about the academics. So you just want to keep that in mind that every time that you sort of go to apply for something, that your particular employer or the academic institution is going to be a sponsor. You will see this sometimes if you are going through, let's say if you've looked at internships in the US or even some universities and colleges here where it'll list and it may say, we do not sponsor J1 visas. That's what that means, where there are some schools that do not do that. There are a variety of reasons for that. It doesn't mean that they don't want international students, but in a lot of ways it can be much more of a cost thing. Again, you have to think about the fact that a lot of schools have to have certain types of insurance to cover international students, and some schools just cannot afford to do that. And there's other different rules around that as well, depending on what state it is and different things that happen. Our government is so big here, there's so many different rules. And so you'll just want to keep that in mind, that that's what that means, that if you are on a J1 visa, you are being sponsored to be here in the US. So that's why, for example, a lot of people, if you're doing an au pair job, your particular employer is sponsoring you to be here. And so you'll just want to keep that in mind. But you also too can do short-term programs. So you could come and do a summer program here in the US on a J1 visa. You could come and do an internship program on a J1 visa. If you are a doctorate trainee, a lot of students will come and do that. I know there's a lot of students that come and do nursing training here in the US, even legal training here, not the full law school, but you're coming and doing some type of special symposium, or maybe it lasts for 4 or 6 months. There's lots of ways to do that here in the US to stay short term. Now, one of the things that you will ask that you want to know is similar to the F1, can I work on a J1 visa? Now you can, because again, as I sort of mentioned a few seconds ago, a lot of people do come here to work specifically on a J1 visa. So it's a lot different than the F1. There are a little bit less restrictions. And as I said, I'm going to be doing different videos on the specific videos I'm going to be doing different videos on the specific visas in detail about what they cover as you talk about how you apply for them and everything. But yes, you can work in certain instances on a J1 visa. Now, the other thing that you probably will want to know is how long do I have? So again, similar to the F1, it is going to last the length, the duration of your particular program. For most people, that's going to look 3 to 6 months. It really depends when you are filling out whatever you're doing for your particular program. And when you get accepted to that program, they will have, again, similar to the F1, they will give you a letter, they should at least, where you can submit that with your application. And it's going to, in very much detail, say how long your program is. But for most students who are on a J1 visa, it typically lasts anywhere from 3 to 6 months. For some people, it could be 9, even 12 months. It really depends. I know that for a lot of students, for example, if you're doing something that is doctorate training or government work, maybe it is a little bit longer, whereas an internship could be a little bit shorter. But it's a great way to be able to at least experience the US, and maybe you will want to come back here long term for something else on a different visa. Now, in terms of the fee, it's very similar to the F1. There is a standard fee of the 160, and then, as I said before, there is an issuance fee potentially. So again, definitely check out those links that I've put in the description so that you can plug in your country and figure out what the specific fee is going to be for the J1 for you. The other thing to mention about the J1 as well is that it does have a shorter grace period. So as you would imagine, if you've just been here for 6 months or even 9 months, they're not going to give you a long period of time because, again, you're just exchanging. And so it's meant to be a final end once you're done exchanging. So the grace period after your visa ends is 30 days. And so you will be expected to begin wrapping things up and heading back overseas. Now, if you happen to get into a different program and you change over to a different visa, let's say you are coming here for an internship and then you get into a university program and you need to change over to an F1 visa, that's going to be great. Typically, you will need to leave the country and then come back in. It really just depends. But again, check with your school on the rules on that if you are deciding to make that move, and also make sure that you are checking with the State Department as well to be very clear on what the rules are. Because the other tricky thing is that even if you are switching visas, you don't want to be in violation of one visa or the next. I can speak to that myself, even in the UK, of actually having to leave the country really quickly and then come back in just so that I could not be in violation of any type of rule. So you never want to do that, and you want to make sure that even if you are switching visas, that everyone is very clear about what you're doing so that you are not violating anything and that you can have the best experience possible here in America.